Looking at where we're coming from as a country, as an industry, I think the growth has been phenomenal. You know, I mean, if you think back towards 2003, 2005, and what we have now, you know, I mean, the growth really has been, I would say, astronomical. You know, so Nigeria has done well when it comes to ICT in terms of growth, telecoms as well as IT itself.
Do you think we have enough policies to support the further growth of the industry?
Personally, no. You know, I know when we started with the liberalization, you know, there were policies in place that really, you know, enhanced the growth. However, over the years, you know, we haven't seen new policies, you know, that have sustained this growth and, you know, also enabled the industry to move to the next level. You know, of recent, there has been a lot of talks about the whole broadband expansion and penetration. You know, yes, a lot of talk. However, it hasn't been backed up with adequate policies to make this come to pass.
Once upon a time, we had a broadband policy that got a lot of people excited. What happened to that plan?
The plan is still there. However, the implementation, I think, to a large extent, hasn't really been, you know, hasn't gone according to plan. For instance, yeah, the government has a role to play in formulating these policies, you know, but what have they done to ensure that the industry itself, which has the responsibility of, you know, making this plan come to fruition, have all the need to actually enable this plan to come to fruition? You know, so I think there's a disconnect somewhere. Policies are made, however, you know, the things on the ground to see these policies come to pass have not really been well thought through. I mean, if I should say, yeah.
I mean, IT companies as well as telecoms companies are often faced with this very fierce foreign competition.
That's correct.
That is coming from countries that are subsidized, or even platforms that don't have little or no investment. What is your opinion about this peculiar challenge?
So the world is a global village, you know, so you can't really, I don't think it would be advisable to restrict whoever plays in this country.
But China is doing it.
Well, yes, they are, but I mean, for me, I see it from the viewpoint that the only way you can match yourself, you know, to the level that the foreign companies have you know, reached is to be able to have an environment where you can compete with them, you know. But yes, you have the environment to compete with them, but how is the government, your government, you know, supporting you to make that competition favorable to you? So have situations, for instance, where you have local companies that have the capabilities to do certain projects, however they are bypassed and given to, you know, foreign companies. You know, so no doubt we don't want to restrict foreign companies, but at least give priorities to local companies that have proven themselves, that have the capacity to, you know, because that's the only way we can also become global players.
So do you consider yourself a startup?
Well, we past a startup, you know, by definition.
What is the definition?
Definition of a startup is a company, you know, that has just been, you know, founded, you know, so prior to then, nothing in existence. You have an idea, you know, you work on the idea, you know, you approach the market and get your product into the market, you know. So there are mark 13 years this year, July. So by that definition, we are no longer a startup, you know, but by operations and by culture, we still have that startup mentality, which has enabled us to thrive and to quickly innovate and meet the, you know, the market demands.
Congratulations to you and your team. 13 years is no joke. But looking at it, how have you been able to survive all these years?
I think one of the things that have, you know, helped us through this 13 years journey has been the way we have run the company. From the time we started, you know, through, you know, now. Layer 3 basically have grown organically, you know, and we run a lean, you know, we employed a lean methodology of business even before we knew what was lean, you know, what the lean methodology was about, you know. Even though we are hungry for growth, Even though we want to scale fast, we have taken things gradually, you know, positioning ourselves in very, very strategic ways, gaining market share before expanding to new markets, you know, and also imbibing a culture where, you know, everybody, you know, as layer-ons, which is what we call our staff, you know, have bought into the vision that we have as a company, and everybody together, you know, are working to make that vision a reality. You know, so yes, we know to build anything great and enduring, you know, it has to involve a lot of work, which can't just be done in one day. You know, so we're all working towards, building a great and enduring company that will be here for the long term.
It will be interesting to know why you started this business and what was your reason?
I saw a need in the market for better customer service, better customer experience, you know. So basically when we started, we didn't set out to do anything or to invent something that wasn't there already. However, we set out to do more, you know, with what was existing and make customers, have a much better experience. You know, so we started as a virtual network operator, providing strictly connectivity services, leveraging infrastructure of existing providers, you know. So the startup capital was actually not too high. You know, most of our energy was plunged into, you know, good customer service, marketing, you know, and we practically bootstrapped, you know, all the way. We had no outside investments.
Now that you have clearly said you're no longer a startup, what are you doing to encourage more startups in the North?
Well, that's something we are committed to as a company. We have a lot of interest in higher education. We're doing a lot. We have what we call the Layer 3 University Academic Alliance Network, you know, working with students and faculty. You know, then besides that, we're also working with a few startup acceleration, you know, hubs, you know, the likes of Civic Labs here in Abuja. We're providing them free broadband. We're also working closely with Ventures Platform, you know, on areas of broadband and other initiatives, you know, because we believe, the strength of the economy and the country, you know, will be dependent on the strength of the companies, you know, that eventually come out of that country. America is great today because of, you know, the great companies they have, not necessarily because, you know, and of course in education as well.
Finally, Oyaje, looking at the next 10 years, where do you see Layer 3?
You know, we want to be an example how great companies should be run. You know, so we'll continue to use technology, you know, especially new trends in technology to meet and surpass customer demands. And I'll leverage, you know, the power of technology to continue to, you know, make customers' businesses more successful. You know, so once we do that, we believe as customers are happy, we become part of their, you know, their system basically. And as they grow, we grow, which is why I think we are going to be here for the long term, you know. But we don't want to restrict ourselves to just the shores of this country, you know. So we're hoping that within the next 10 years, I mean, Layer 3 should have presence in most of the big cities in Africa.
Well, we wish you all the best, and thank you for doing the show today.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
That was Oyaje Idoko, founder Layer 3, a fast-growing IT company in the country. As you have heard from him, even though he was hungry for growth, he had to apply the lean methodology and opted for organic growth. Today, his organization is better for it because he has grown and expanded outside the city of Abuja where it all started. Oyaje brings an interesting perspective because for a number of startups today, it's all about funding rounds and less about value. Remember, it takes a lot of pain to build a sustainable company. It's a wrap on this edition of the show, but the conversation continues online. Join us on social media. Remember, you can watch the entire show on the channel's TV YouTube account or via my blog, cfatech.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.